Yes, indeedy do. It is the Jim and Terry Show coming to you from the Hobbit Hole Studio in Bob Cajun. I'm one of your hosts, Terry, and my other host is strangely absent. No, he's a stranger who is absent. No, he's just strange and he's absent. Variations on the theme of Jim is not here. It is the Terry Show for today. And I'm going to talk about a little topic that, well, it's not little. And I'm not going to talk. I'm going to actually do something, which is interact with an audio snippet. The site that I'm using is called conspirituality.net. And it takes a lot of topics that I find very fascinating and interesting. Of course, it leans to the left, and that's partly why I'm attracted to it, but it's because it analyzes, and the guys have various skill sets, and you can take a look at it yourself, conspirituality.net, but I find their analysis to be fascinating. So I'm going to do one this morning, give a snippet, and I'll just start it and let you have a little gander.
This is a sample of our Monday bonus episodes. To support independent media, access our entire catalog of bonus episodes, and listen to everything ad-free, please visit patreon.com/conspirituality. You can also access these full bonus episodes on Apple Podcasts. Thank you for your support. Okay, Julian, we are back for week 2 of our exploration of Project 2025. Was last week enough? Are you ready for this?
I'm going to be okay. I've taken my blood pressure medication and I'm going to be breathing slow and deep.
Oh, you're taking that big pharma? Come on, man. You just need to pray that blood pressure down. So Project 2025, of course, a part of it is this 920-page presidential transition project document that was put up by the Heritage Foundation. We covered it in full on episode of 187 on the main feed. We also got into it a little bit at the top of last week's episode. So in this episode and future episodes, we'll reference back, but we're not going to keep going deeply into what the whole project is. Last week, we looked at this mammoth 54-page chapter on the Department of Health and Human Services written by Roger Severino. This week, we are looking at a much slimmer 17-page chapter. It's entitled Media Agencies, and it includes contributions from 2 authors covering 2 different agencies. One is the U.S. Agency for Global Media. It was written by Maura Namdar. And then we'll get to the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, which is a mere 3 pages written by Mike Gonzalez. Now, Maura Namdar is pretty straightforward. Unlike Roger Severino, she's very buttoned up, sort of classical conservative. She's currently an attorney at the American Foreign Policy Council, which sounds like a government agency, but of course not, because names like this are designed to fool you into thinking they are. It is actually a conservative think tank that guides congressional Republicans on foreign policy topics like arms control, energy security, and other market economies. In the realm of government think tanks, it's longstanding and pretty basic. They try to move the needle as much as they can. I wouldn't label them under the totally nefarious side of some of these other organizations, but they're still pushing for their agenda. And it is more, as I said, it's more of a buttoned up old school Republican. And this reflects in Namdar's bio. She served under Trump as the acting assistant secretary of state for consular affairs and VP of the U.S. Agency for Global Media, which is what she writes about in this document. She previously worked as senior advisor at the Department of State, and she focused on issues pertaining to Iran. She is the daughter of Persian immigrants. She speaks fluent Farsi, so she does at least have a secondhand account of the lived experience of Persians or people living in Iran. She writes the subchapter of the Media Agencies chapter on the U.S. Agency for Global Media, which is, as I said, where she previously served. Now, whereas Maura Namdar is very buttoned up, Mike Gonzalez is the opposite. He is a Heritage Senior Fellow in Foreign Policy. He bills himself as a longtime journalist, but some of his recent pieces include names like even the Census Bureau is trying to promote radical gender ideology. He also wrote one called Mess We Have on College Campuses Stems from Marxism. I love how the right constantly decries mainstream journalists, but then they write propaganda like this and then call...
Well, there you go. I'm going to stop it there. You get the feel for it. It's a couple of fellows bantering back and forth. They have guests every once in a while, but the site, conspirituality.net, is a discussion forum, and people bring their expertise to a topic. In this case, the topic is Project 2025. And if you look that up, you will find project2025.org. And if you go to their homepage, you will see their mandate. Big, bold letters, of course, American flag over the White House. Building now for a conservative victory through policy, personnel, and training. And it goes on to say, it is not enough for conservatives to win elections if we are going to rescue the country from the grip of tyrannical radical left. Well, I added tyrannical. It really just says radical left. We need both a governing agenda and the right people in place, ready to carry this agenda out from day one of the next conservative administration. Wow. Okay. Yeah, it sounds to me, if you're railing against the radical left, if you are talking about needing people in the right place to carry the agenda out, it sounds fairly militant. And that is the part that grabs me. It's a playbook that's, it's called a 180-day playbook, how to take charge within, standard unit of measurement of administrations is what do they get done in the first 100 days. Well, they are off to quite a start when you look at their how to get going. Their fourth pillar of Project 2025 is a 180-day transition playbook. Comprehensive, complete transition plan for each federal agency. And if you go into this stuff, you'll find out that it's very much a slice of what's going on in the Ontario Conservative government with Doug Ford, with the Danielle Smith Conservative government in Alberta, and the Scott Moe in Saskatchewan. And you'll find that it's always the same thing. Downsize, underfund, fire personnel, and break it all so that only the courageous stay? Only the ones you've weeded out everybody else? You've fired their asses? What have you done? Project 2025 should be a scary thought to most of us who are moderates, most of us who are not even progressives, but down the middle. Do you sort of look at fiscal responsibility, look at debt, and wonder about spending? You wonder about how to help the most people with the least amount of taxation implications in your projects and in what you're trying to policy fund. But this is really something to be, in my opinion, alarmed about, and that's why I'm talking about it. You can check out all the episodes. There are a few more on Project 2025. My concern is really just to make people aware, our listeners, our ones and twos, that there is an agenda, and it's really, when I look at diversity, equity, and inclusion, and if that's what you're going to rail about, if you're looking at Black Lives Matter's protest after the murder of George Floyd, and that's what you're going to rail about, I am not sure that I've got anything more to say about your values, because it certainly is not putting people first, or poverty, or infrastructure, or governance of any form. It is simply about taking back control of politics so that, Democrats will never be elected again? Gerrymandering is the way that most Republicans get elected. If you take a look at Jim Jordan's Ohio district, it is a real carve-out of areas where he has no hope of winning elections, and that's how he's still in Congress, despite being one of the chief managers of the January 6th insurrection. Yes, Jim Jordan. How about all the rest of them? Remember that there are over 100 congressmen and senators who voted to overturn the 2020 election results. And despite Mike Pence staying the course and counting the ballots that were sent to him without allowing for substitutions, America would be a different place right now, and it would not be a good place, in my opinion. Project 2025 is how conservatives, the GOP, the RIP GOP, because it's not Ronald Reagan's, it's not your grandfather's conservative party, it's not your grandfather's Republican party, it's not the party of the past. It is a party that's carving out autocratic dictatorial powers for Trump, who's already said he will be a dictator for one day. That's all he needs. I think even Nazi Germany, they came to power legitimately through the electoral process, but quickly banned and prohibited elections, and that's the way autocracies gain power. Win it through the ballot, take control after that, and cancel everything. Cancel elections. Or if you're Putin in Russia, you just kill off and imprison all your opponents. You rig the elections so that, maybe this is where Trump is going. He wants to have 90-some-odd%. Isn't that what Putin gets every time? I'm surprised it's not 100%, because they round you up if you're a dissident. So how you get less than 100% in an autocracy, I don't know. There's a few brave souls who think that they're not being monitored, cast a ballot in dissent. I'm not sure that they will live through the night on such an occasion. Project 2025 is anything but taking power legitimately. It's all about control and exertion of dictatorial powers. It's about putting your team in place as heads of agencies that will, in obeyance, follow every jot and tittle of the divine command theory. And whether that is the orange Jesus of Donald Trump or it's some other substitute like Mike Johnson and his visions of God appointing him as the new Moses, I would be afraid of all this stuff. Project 2025, we haven't even got through 2024, but the plan, the playbook is there, and you can look it up for yourself. Project2025.org, and you can see their playbook, and you can see their 4 pillars of the playbook, how they're going to do this. And part of it has already been done. It's taking charge of the Supreme Court and the courts underneath them, the federal courts in every district. It's taking charge of school boards. It's taking charge of municipal, regional, state, and federal elections. And that's how it's going to go. I'd be afraid, because it is not a democracy when this stuff happens. Project 2025, be very afraid, boys and girls. The Jim and Terry Show, signing off for now. Bye-bye.